from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to work with the So Much Love Cling stamp set. This is one of the stamp sets that you will receive in addition to your starter kit if you join Stampin' Up and join my team during September. Okay, you will get these completely free. I've already popped it all out and mounted it. One of the stamps is, the other stamp is really big. Yeah, so really nice large images for watercolouring or any other type of colouring. We're going to watercolour with it today. So like I say, this is completely free when you join Stampin' Up during September. The colours I'm using are actually a colour challenge, and they are a challenge as well. Flipping, had to get my thinking cap on about how I was going to use these. So we've got Magenta Madness, which is like super bright. Granny Apple Green is quite bright too. Then we've got the more subtle shades of Petal Pink and Balmy Blue, and then we've got this light yellow orange of Mango Melody. So yeah, it was sort of saying florals to me, but I wasn't sure how I was going to use them. But this is what we're going with. We're going to go with a watercolour. I've had a bit of a play with the colours, but I haven't actually prepared the whole card. We'll see how we go with that. So what I've got here is a piece of our Fluid 100 watercolour paper, and ahead of time I've already stamped the image once with the Petal Pink ink. When I do a colour challenge I try and stick to the colours rather than introducing anything else. And then I dampened the paper around the edge of the flower and added some Balmy Blue ink. So the way I prepare my ink, if you like, for watercolouring is I use a acrylic block. You could use any other palette, whatever flat surface you like, non-porous surface, and I pick up some ink on the block and then swirl it, get it, add some water. I usually do that by dropping some water from my aqua painter, my old aqua painter. This is the old model. There are newer ones. Why is that now not squidging out? Bizarre. Anyway, so you can add some water to the block, use a paintbrush to mix that, and then I added it around the edges, but I only wanted a light wash. So I let it sit for a bit, wicked up some of the excess, and I've already dried that because I wanted it dry for the next stage. Okay, so we're going to do the petals using a combination of the Magenta Madness and the Mango Melody. It's going to why has that gone all that was working just fine a second ago, so I don't know why that's suddenly bunged up. Anyway, hopefully that will be light enough. Anyway, if all else fails, I shall just grab my spritz bottle and I'm just going to put some clean water onto that as well. It was working just a minute ago. Okay, so I played about with the colour, and I decided that I tried it first using the magenta on the inside of the petals and the mango on the outside. When I tried it the other way around, I liked the result better. So I'm going to put some mango just in the bottom of that petal. Got some paper towel handy to wick off that ink. Then pick up some magenta and I'm going to put that in the top of the petal and let that come down into the mango, like so. And then I'm just going to wick off the excess with a paper towel, partly so it dries quicker, and partly so we don't get the colours mixing too much, otherwise they go a little bit on the brown side. So I'm going to try and do petals that aren't right next door to each other, so we don't end up with things merging together where they're not supposed to. So just bringing in that magenta from the top, letting it merge in with the mango, and then just wicking away that excess. Like so. So you still get a definition between the pink and the orange, and we don't get anything too muddy. Okay, so this is obviously going to take a time, but I'll do a couple more of these and then I'll pause it, get some more done, and come back to you. For leaves and putting the card together. But I just wanted to show you what my thought process was. I'm kind of the original kind of plan in terms of why I decided to stamp with petal pink first was to kind of emulate this no line watercolour technique that I've seen people do. I am no artist by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, you watch, like, just as you're watching me now, watched a couple of tutorials. I thought, well, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's just a piece of paper. Let's have a go. So I think you kind of get the idea of where I'm going with this. I do find that if you can, I personally think that the result is better if it doesn't merge too soon and gets a bit muddy. So that middle one I felt got a bit muddy quickly. And I definitely think that wicking it off just helps with that somewhat. If you think you've taken too much off, just mess about with it. Okay, let's do one more over here maybe. The other thing is it needs to be wet. That sounds really ridiculous, but as I'm using, I don't know whether you can tell from what I'm doing, but that mango colour went on quite dry, because you're absorbing the water as you're using it off the palette. So you may find that you need to add more water to your palette as you go along. So that's how it's looking, and we've got kind of these sort of orangey pink. So we can get the camera to focus. One sec. There we are. Okay, so I think that looks much better close up. It probably looks a bit weird from where you are. Okay, so that's where we're going with it. So I'm going to pause you there, and I'm going to carry on doing the petals and allow them to dry, and then we'll come back and do some more with you. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on doing exactly the same process. Okay, right, see you in a minute. Okay, so this is what we've ended up with. Still very vibrant, isn't it? So that magenta is such a bright colour, and the lines from the petal pink seem to have been intensified, which I actually don't mind too much because we've still got definition on the petals. I'd like that to come to focus. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay, so I'm not displeased with that at all. Probably could be better. I'm sure there's plenty of you that have got far more artistic skill that could do a better job. But we're going with it. I'm just having a bit of fun. So I've got the granny apple green here. Now I've got no idea how this was this is how disastrous my first attempt at this was. Okay, so that's not too bad. I just wanted to see how dark that one. Watercolour can be a bit of a mystery when you first start doing it. Things don't always turn out the way you think they're going to. So I think with this, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to I'm going to flood the whole thing, and then I'm going to wick off from the top, which should make the top a little lighter than the bottom. And because we don't have like two colours to mix together, it might be that we need to let this dry back and add another layer of colour, which is something you can do with the watercolours. This is just a paper towel, obviously. That leaves not touching that one, so let's go with this one as well. Just by the way as well, I blasted the flower with my heat tool to make sure it was just completely dry. So you do get, I don't know whether you can see where you are now, the paper is all wibbly wobbly, but hopefully that will resolve itself when we put the card together. The other thing is, if you've got the time, and then put it under a book for a little bit. Ideally when it's still a bit damp, and then it'll hopefully dry a little flatter then. But if you're going to do that, you need to put something over it to stop it sticking together. And when I say damp, I mean like barely damp, I mean just not completely dry. Now interestingly, I feel that the petal pink with the green over top almost looks a little brown. Whether you can, yeah, it's just giving it that kind of no, from oh, let's put that light on, see if that helps. It's a bit better, isn't it? I turned it off when I was working off camera, and now my autofocus is going crazy. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just trying to avoid working too close to anything that may still be wet in terms of the leaves, because well, it possibly isn't that critical if I'm just using the same colour all the time, but I just don't want to risk anything bleeding where it shouldn't. There aren't too many of these leaves, I'll just stick with you just for a sec. This is really quite therapeutic. You just, your concentration is totally on the piece of work. There are stems as well coming out from here. Now when I do the next, maybe next layer, I may be able to emphasise those. Getting really, really tight on there. As I say, you almost stop breathing. It's like you just completely, well I do anyway, I find myself completely focused on what I'm doing. This is the kind of thing that's good if you've had a bit of a rough day and you just need to stop thinking for a bit, or at least stop thinking about whatever it is was a bit meh about your day. That just takes away that heaviness in the corner and the pooling. The pooling can give you an interesting effect in that if you leave it, you will get a different, it will dry darker than the rest of it. But it's a little random, shall we say, and if you don't like random, it's possibly not the way to go. Okay, so that's all the leaves painted with a first coat. It's looking okay, you know, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, right, bear with me a minute, I'm going to dry this back and I'll come back. Okay, so right, so that's nice and dry. Didn't take too long at all. The heat tool gets very hot, and obviously the paper's designed to absorb some of that moisture anyway, so it didn't take long at all. Right, so I'm going to put another layer over these leaves, and what I've done is, this is still Granny Apple Green, but what I've done is I've added more ink, so I've got a much stronger colour. Okay, just like diluting, you know, orange juice or something, yeah. The more water you add, the paler it becomes. Now I'm not going to wick that off, I'm going to leave it so that we get that nice definition of colour. I suppose what I'm trying to do is add a little bit of shade to it. Again, there's people, oh, is it, I think it's Helen Chandler, I want to say her name is. Isabella, I think her name on the YouTube might be. I'd have to check that. I'll look her up and put a link to her in, because she is amazing watercolourist. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I think she's done this stamp with watercolour. So I'll say she is an artist. I mean, she's just brilliant. I don't know whether she's self-taught or what, but yeah, but her stuff is gorgeous. Go over this stem. So just going to the stem over here. There's a little teeny stem there, and I'm going to put some shade over on this side of the leaf. I should hopefully keep that defined. She says. Okay, I think that's okay. Okay, so I haven't done this one. I must have done that all the way around, didn't I? What a wally. Okay, and then I saw another one. There we are, that's it. So it's next to that bit. I didn't want it to, I don't think that's dry enough. Get away with that, yeah. It does dry quite quickly on this paper. I mean, this watercolour paper obviously is designed for the task, so you couldn't do this on Whisper White. You'd just end up with a icky mess. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. How's that looking from up there? Oh yeah, okay. You do get a definite, I don't know what you would call it, like a tide line, I guess, where that's dried. I don't know whether there's a way of softening that at all. I'm just using this is just damp, and I'm just seeing if that kind of goes away a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't have dried it back so much. Those of you with more know-how than me might know and will not repeat that mistake. If it is a mistake, I don't know. That seems to be helping though, just to get rid of that sharp line. More of a blended look. Someone's decided to mow their lawn, so I hope you can't hear that buzzing too much. Okay, right, excellent. Methinks I like that. No, come on, autofocus. Do your thing. Oh, it was there and then it gone. There we are. Cool, I must have the most unsteady hands ever, because it goes in and then it comes back out again. My goodness. Okay, I'm quite pleased with this. Quite pleased. It is a long video, but obviously you can imagine how much longer I've spent on it. This is 23 minutes in just with you guys. Okay, fabulous. I think yeah, that's actually dried quite quickly because we didn't use a lot of water on that one, so I'm just going to put away some of this mucky stuff. This piece of cardstock is a little larger. Wasn't really sure how the orientation was going to work with everything else. So what sentiment are we going to... Should we go here for you, I think. Here for you. And have a think about where that's going to go. It feels like I want to have it connected somehow, and I'm thinking do we think the Magenta Madness in full strength is going to go over that well enough? I'm not really sure. That's the honest answer. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Right. Got no idea if this is straight or not, so this is my trick for seeing if something's straight. I get some scrap grid paper, and I'm gonna stamp it in magenta on this just to see what it looks like. And what I do is I put it on the block where I think it might be straight-ish, and I use the grid lines on here to line my block up, stamp it down, and we can definitely see that's tailing up by quite some way, which is what I thought. I wanted to emphasise that for you. So we're going to adjust it on the block, and we're going to do the same again. I'll line it up with a different line and stamp it down, and that looks pretty much there. Some of the scripty fonts, it's a little bit, you've got a bit more forgiveness, shall we say. Do we think that would look nice on a little white banner across there? Should we try it before we put anything else together? Let's get rid of that. Piece of scrap. Oh, that'll do it. Is it wide enough? Let's do it on this edge. So because I've lined it up on my block, I'm going to line up the cardstock, and I'm going to line up the block itself with one of the lines there. In actual fact, it's the same line that I'm looking at from there. I'm going to stamp that down. Okay, that's lovely. It's such a beautiful colour, isn't it? It's just very bright. Very bright. Just going to give that a sec or two to dry. Grab my trimmer. I love this trimmer so much. This will tell you if it's straight or not, because you'll see that the line of text is maybe just a little. Usually go with, if you've got more than one letter, like the E's possibly and the U, they are probably going to be sitting on the same line, you know, if it was written in a textbook. Whatever. No, I'm going to be too close to my I'm going to cut off my, ooh, yeah, good job I moved it. So you can see that it was actually quite wonky. But that's now the straight edge, so if you then trim using that straight edge, you'll end up with a square. Or rectangle in this case. Now it's where it goes. So I'm not covering up too much of my image. What about there? I do look better there, framed by the leaves a little bit, do you think? That looks quite nice. Thinking I'm going to cut in a little bit on this side, I think, to get the layer right. Okay, let's trim this to size. It is, this currently measures 4.5 wide. I've already had to think about how I want to layer this up, and I thought I'd bring in the petal pink and the balmy blue because they aren't prominent in the actual watercolour really, whereas the others are. Which I think I like. Yeah. So what is this one? This one's slightly smaller. So what's this? This is 3 7/8. So you want this a little narrower. So trimmer again. Let's take that all the way to the edge. 3 7/8 minus 1/8 puts it there. And then the height is currently at 6 inches. So that's 5 3/4, which is my normal layer, and I want to take off another 1/4 inch. Hopefully it should fit on there. Yeah. How are we liking that? Do we want more of the petal pink showing? This is what happens when I'm making something really brand new. This is kind of my design process, if you like. So that's why often I've pre-made something, so that you're not sitting watching me make decisions about what I'm gonna do with things. But I do think that sometimes it's useful to see how people think about composition, etc. Okay, I think that's cool. I might just take a hair off these. Just get it a bit closer. So it's less invasive. Okay, let's layer stuff up. So we'll just use my hair's fallen out. So that's your Stampin' seal. Plain white layer onto a balmy blue regular size card. And I'm going to do this bit next. Now, I wonder how this does. When you used snail on watercolour paper, it would almost pull up the fibre, if you know what I mean. But this is going on nice. Oh, I've dumped that in something. Where did I put that? Okay. Now where a bit of water that was hanging about while I was doing the painting. If for whatever reason you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I can't remember what the border is, turn it over to its non-sticky side and eyeball it like that, and then hopefully you get it right when you turn it over. And almost did. Yeah, that's close enough anyway. Close enough. So I want to make sure that's nice and flat. And I think actually, you know, a bit of dimension wouldn't go amiss. And I think we'll do that with some dimensionals. I'm going to put plenty on because it's the watercolour paper is still going to be wanting to fight that layer a little bit. You know, where it was all wibbly. And the other thing I think we'll add is, in the joining promotion, you get this stamp set along with another Queen Anne's lace. I'll show you that in a sec. But you also get some rhinestones, so I think I'll put some of the rhinestones on as well. So all these layers are just 1/8 increments. I'm really sorry, I don't know what that would be in just a couple of mil, I guess, in metric. Just trying to make sure that that's even on all sides. When you work with the narrower borders, it can be a little trickier to get them lined up. It's It's not perfect, but it'll do. And then we've got this guy to put on as close as we can to there. Yes. Cool. Rhinestones. You get loads in a packet. How many do you get? This is an old packet, but I think you get the same number. 140. And you get 2 rows of the large ones, then you get 2 rows of medium ones, then you get loads of the little ones, which is good. Nice bit of variety. Like that, you see. Now, I'm not displeased with that at all. The other stamp set, by the way, oops. Oh, I thought I was going to get through all of that without sneezing. The other stamp set is Queen Anne's Lace, which I have used in other videos before. So both of those you get for free when you join during September. Okay, and a pack of rhinestones and some cardstock to make some cards. Okay, I'm leaving that as it is. Very long video, really sorry, but I think there was lots to talk about, and I think it was worthwhile seeing more of the process. Okay, a bit different to what I usually do, and I hope you like it. Okay, all the stuff's in the description, loads of links, and check out the blog and everything else, and there'll be all the info there. And I say, if you did want to join, I'd love to have you in my team and help you along your Stampin' Up journey. Okay everybody, take care, and I shall see you again soon. Bye.